Good afternoon, welcome to Philly Way Cookery School. We've got another little instalment, bit of a skills acquisition, what we can do with various things. So, my good friends at Meat & Co up in the Midlands, up country, have sent me a wonderful bit of short rib or long rib, or basically this comes from the brisket essentially, so it can vary in size and width and how many bones, but as we can see, it's got loads of intermuscular fat. It's a hard-working group of muscles, and obviously with the ribs, so you get massive flavour, but it's going to take a little bit of cooking. So I thought I'd go a little bit off-piste. Usually this would be kind of, you've got your short ribs with barbecue sauce, very American style. We're going to hit it with a bit of Middle Eastern flavour. So in here I've got some ras el hanout, some baharat spice mix, cumin, coriander, nice and simple. And then we're going to braise it first with red wine, beef stock, chuck some onions, some bay leaves in there, some classical flavours. And the reason I like to do that kind of two-prong attack is basically, yes, you can smoke it the entire time on the barbecue, but I just find it gets a bit tough. So I like to hit it with a bit of moisture in the oven for 3-4 hours, just to slowly cook away without losing any moisture, and then finish them on the barbecue with a bit of oak. So it's not authentic barbecuing, but it's certainly an approach I like to use, and I think is you get the best result, best of both worlds. Before we get going, a bit of trivia, and this is why it's so good for, well, so apt for Cornwall anyway. So Jacob's Ladder is a set of stairs in Falmouth. There's a bloke called Jacob Hamblin, he was a builder, and he built 111 stairs in the middle of Falmouth to take him from the bottom of his workshop all the way to the top of his house. So if you get a chance, go to Falmouth, check out Jacob's Ladder. There's also a pub on that set of stairs. So not only has it got a connotation with a great bit of beef, but we've got a bit of Cornish history for you as well. Before we kind of get going, you can ask your butcher to cut across, so you get like literally portions of short rib. Now, unless you want to serve it whole and be kind of big family style, but if you want to have individual portions, get your butcher to cut them in half with a bandsaw, and then you can cut them lengthways yourself, but that's just something for your butcher to do, or if you've got a bandsaw, dust the wood sawdust off and then do it yourself. But also you've got, as I said, massive bits of rib bone, which is going to give us loads of flavour, loads of texture, and yeah, it's a great little starter, or even as part of a wider dish. Here's the dish I'm going to bake it in or braise it in first. So we're going into something fairly deep, because we don't want to lose too much moisture. So certainly don't put it in a kind of a baking tray with low sides, because we need to keep that moisture. And then our seasoning, our spice mix. So here I just mix together my baharat, ras el hanout, cumin and coriander. But you can do any spice mix you want it to be. If you want to make it Asian, Chinese 5-spice, Szechuan pepper will be wicked. So really generously get that in, and then loads of salt. Don't be shy, because that's going to crisp up and give us a nice crust. We can always season a bit more when we come out of the oven as well. A few bay leaves, just tuck them into bed, and then I've got a couple of red onions that I had knocking around, so we can just get those in, cut them up fairly small, and again, tuck them in. It's going to give us a bit of flavour. You could put some garlic in if you wanted to as well. It's not going to burn because it's got all this liquid. So I would say, what's that, 50, 100 ml of red wine and beef stock, just to kind of cover the bottom of the tray, more or less. So that is pretty much ready to go into the oven. Before we do, a bit of baking paper is going to basically make it sweat a bit more, which we want. We don't want to lose moisture. So if we start to lose moisture, then we start to dry it out a bit. Even though it's got a lot of fat in, we want to keep the moisture in there. And then cover it generously with some tin foil, or if you've got a casserole dish big enough, then perfect. Nice and tight, so we don't lose any steam, and then into the oven, 160, 150. If you've got a slow cooker, even better, you can put it straight into there for about 4 hours. I think slow cooker, you're looking at about 6, I think. And then, here's one I did earlier, the big reveal. So, we can see, if I move the plate, we can see that it's shrunk in size naturally, but it's amazing. It wants to fall away from the bone, but it's nice and soft, And that's what I think you get the benefit from braising it first, is it is soft, it's still really juicy, it's got loads of flavour in there, and I'm going to finish it on the barbecue. We're not avoiding the barbecue, but choosing it at the right time. That's my kind of approach and theory to it. So I've got my barbecue on here, basically only a chimney starter full of coal. I don't want loads of heat because I want to smoke this for a fairly long time. So we're looking at about 180, 200 degrees on your barbecue. And I'm going to hit it with smoke and some also damp oak to get a bit more moisture into the drum. Okay, so I'm not going to season it for the time being. I'm going to put it straight into the drum and get it going. So I'll open up. I've been soaking one bit of oak, but you could use fruit tree wood, but certainly something with a lot of flavour. Hickory would be amazing. Don't be afraid of it, it can really take the flavour because it's obviously all that fat, a lot of meat on the bone. Don't be shy of flavour. So some soaked oak, that can go on, and then a dry piece to give me a bit of heat as well. And I'm going to go skin side down, which is your fat covering side. That's going to go down, offset, hour and a half, 2 hours if it's not too hot, and then we'll see, and I'll serve that with some flatbreads, pickles, bit of coleslaw maybe, absolutely love a knife.